Okay, so today we are going to look at configuration of single sign-on in GroupID using OKTA as a provider. So the first thing is that we are going to browse the management console and click on the Authenticate tab, then click on the admin panel, which would prompt us to log on. So I'm going to log in as authenticated user. Now this authenticated user is the one that is registered in Windows ASMAN, Authorization Manager. I would like to just show that so you guys get an idea. So in Authorization Manager, as you can see, we have role assignments, and whoever has been assigned the role of GroupID administrators would be able to authenticate on GroupID admin panel, and this user will be able to configure single sign-on entity. As Authorization Manager can be the pre-configured, usually it is pre-configured during GroupID install. However, if it is not configured, we do provide the configuration file in the authorization store directory within GroupID. That section will be covered in a separate video where we will go through with GroupID 8 installation and configuration. Just need to make sure that the user you're trying to authenticate is within Authorization Manager. And here we have a list of available configurations. So these are the providers I have already set up. Now there are two options in Authorization Manager. We need to click on Generate URL and select the application against which I will set up the authorization for a single sign-on, and the URL, the consumer URL, is what we will be using to set our configuration in the provider, and this consumer URL is unique to each application. So I'm just going to press copy, and now I will just browse to the website for OKTA. Okay, so this is the provider's logon page, and here I'm just going to log on, and after logging on I will be able to configure the application. So this is the dashboard for OKTA, and here I will just click on applications, and I will add a new application. Here we'll just create a new app because these are the pre-configured options available. We are going to select the option SAML 2.0 provider protocol. Sorry. So here I'm just going to call it give it a friendly name, and I will call this GroupID OKTA sign on. You can choose a logo which will be displayed on the logon screen, and going to proceed to the next step. Here the single sign-on URL is what we copied from the GroupID authentication panel. That's the consumer URL. So I'm just going to copy it again and paste it here. The audience URI entity ID will be provided again from the authentication panel. However, it's available while setting up the new provider. So I'll just click on this plus sign, and in our basic configuration I just need to modify the client and select the app for which I'm trying to configure this authentication method with. So here this entity ID audience URL, I will just copy this one and go into OKTA's configuration and paste it here. So these are the two URLs set. We're not going to specify any default relay state. Name ID format, I'm leaving it to unspecified. Application username will be the OKTA username. So for authentication we will also need to have users on the OKTA provider itself. Additional options include attribute statements within the OKTA provider. This is actually giving us the ability to specify an attribute against which we can we can authenticate the user. We will skip this section and leave everything to default and just proceed to the next step. as we would like the provider to authenticate using the username. And I'm just going to select the option here and just press finish. So we have successfully added an app. Now this is the link which will provide you the metadata file, which can be downloaded, and simply after we get the file we can import this file on the Imanami authentication panel, which will bring in all the configurations against this provider within our own setup. So I'm just going to click OK, and the file is now downloaded. I'm going to open this file and the link. So we'll just keep it untagged. Additionally, I will do one more step, and I will go to people, and seems like I don't have any person added at the moment. So what we can do, we can add a few users here. And here I'm just going to import some users from a file that I already have. It's a comma delimited file, and all we need is a first name, last name, and the username, as well as the email address. So once we have these users, now we will go back to the application, on the peoples tab, and add people here. Still they're not showing up, so I believe there is an additional configuration which we can look into. Actually, looking at the same configuration screen in import, looks like that I've added the users, but needs to confirm the assignments. And I'm just selecting these 3 users. Confirm assignments, confirm. So after completing the import, I have to manually add these users. I'm going to assign people, and I will select the users which can authenticate. I will select Ben Sims. I will select Alex Ortiz. And I will select Leah Ferguson. This is the username which will be used, so I'm removing the domain at the end so we can authenticate with the display name alone. I believe for Ben I wasn't able to do that, so we'll just leave it to that. Actually, we can modify this, so I'm just going to modify the username and hit on save. Now we have users, and we have configured the provider Imanami application within the provider. So we are going to go back here and simply import the file that we already have extracted, the metadata file, that is. I'm just going to bring up its location, and this is the location. I'm just going to copy this URL and just go back into GroupID, search for the file, and simply click on load file. As you can see, these configurations are provided by the OKTA provider itself. So we can just verify the issuer, the login URL, the certificate. Now here I will just call this OKTA logon, so users are easily able to identify and create, click on the button and authenticate using the OKTA single sign-on process. We also have advanced configuration which can be configured for additional options, but we can leave everything to default and simply hit the create button to complete our configuration. Now we have an OKTA logon configured. Let's verify if it's working. So I'm going to go to GroupID, the application itself, click on the URL, and I will just continue to the website and hit the OKTA logon button on the link. And as you can see, I've been taken to the OKTA logon screen. So here I can just log in as Ben. So I was missing the activation of the user account, which I've just done. Okay, so I have enabled myself, and I have activated myself. Now I'm just going to go back to the portal and log in as my user, which is now activated. If I hit sign on, I will be routed to the portal itself. So I hope you guys had an idea how to configure the OKTA provider with the Imanami GroupID, and thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.